where we left off is we wanted to do a little bit of styling. I think it's good at this point to start, on your homeworks, do a little bit of styling here and there. We're definitely grading you on functionality and not styling. And like when you get to like the hackathon on Saturday, you're going to get very minimal points for styling. But nonetheless, it's good practice. And it's something, it's good to kind of slowly build your UI skills, especially if you're someone who wants to, if you like React and you like front-end development, then you're going to want to get good, like get some practice with this. So I'm sharing my screen, right? You can see that. So what I want to do is before we build this out, I think it's good just to get like an idea of what you're trying to do, like design wise, just draw it out on a piece of paper. And then we'll kind of try to like do this with Flexbox. So what I'm thinking is we have our card, like our fact, like we're going to make like a fact card for our component. And then like we have like the fact. I'm really thinking of these of like the HTML elements like as boxes and how much space they're going to take up. So this is like my fact text, but it's going to like take up this part of the card. And then I'm going to want to have like, I have the username. So then I can have like the username here, and that can be smaller, but that can like take up this whole section. And then I want to have like my stars because we have stars. So I'm gonna have like the stars here. And then maybe a source here. I might want to switch these because the source could be long. So I could also, have my source here and take my source, have my allow my source to take up all that spot because my stars are going to be kind of defaulted. I kind of like thinking of that in like boxes. So fact, user, the source, and then my stars over here. So let's go with this one. And to even like draw this a little like maybe better, maybe like here's my card. So like I kind of want my fact, that text to be big, then my user to be like small, and then the source to be like really small, and then like some stars. There we go. There's my lovely UI. And then I could also maybe think like, well, right now I'm displaying them like this, like as a list like that. I could also maybe decide, well, instead of doing that, maybe I want to do them as a row, like a 3x3 or something. So let's maybe do that just to do like, so we can do like a grid. Cool. So that's kind of our game plan. Who cares if it looks good or not? We've come up with a plan. And maybe someone just gave us, like, it's not even up to us how it looks. They say, hey, I want it to look like this. Because that can largely happen at places like you're not designing it, they have designers and they tell you how they want it to look. So that's how we want our UI to look. But when I'm thinking about this, I'm really thinking about like, yeah, the boxes and how much space each of these are taking up. Because styling, so much of styling and doing the front end stuff is just like, it's just thinking in boxes, which makes React nice because React, it's like you can almost then think of these as like components maybe, but we're not going to go that in depth. So yeah, I want my text first, and then I want the username, and then I want the source and stars. but I want these to be on like the same line. So I might throw these in like a div. Cool. Refresh, see if that changed anything. Nope. So yeah, this is where like Flexbox is going to come in really handy. So let's just see what happens when I like throw my display. I do this display and I just say flex. Okay, now it's kind of like throwing everything all off to the side. And once again, this can be a really useful reference. And like just Googling, Google is also CSS. Like, how do I get this to look like that? If you can Google, if you know what you're trying to do and it's a CSS thing and you can Google it, you'll find many different solutions to it. But let's just look at some stuff. So I can actually say align or justify, no, wait, what is it? Flex direction. Flex direction, because by default, it's going to throw them in like side by side. If I want to do it columns, I have to say flex direction column. And let's actually give everything on here a border. This can also be just kind of useful just to see where you're, because as I told you, think about everything as being a box and all of these HTML elements being a box. Let's just go ahead and throw, or we can throw them on here. Another quick way to do this is in your app.cs. If I want to give everything a box, this can be a nice little trick. You do a star. This is going to apply the style to everything. And then I could say something like border, 1 pixel solid. And now everything is going to have a border. Obviously, it doesn't look good, but then it can kind of help you see what space is like this element is taking up. And if you inspect one of these like elements, since we're talking about styles, one of the most important things about styling is this, oh my gosh, I forgot what, like this box, this content box. I'm brain farting what it's actually called, but every HTML element, think of it as a box that has, the content, then it has some padding, it could have a border, and then it could have margin. So this, right now I'm selected this H3 tag. And there it is, like there's the content. It doesn't have any padding, so like the border is right up against it. It does have some margin. So from the next element, which is the paragraph, it has like this 15 pixels of margin. For instance, where is it? Our fact here, if we inspect this one, where is it? This div that we have, like our card, we threw some padding inside of here. So here's the content. You could highlight that. This has like our username, the text, but I gave it 20 pixels of padding. So it has like some padding from that border. And then this one actually has a border of 1 pixel, and then we have margin of 20. So this is going to give like this is our fact card. It has 20 pixels of margin. So it's like, no other elements are going to come within 20 pixels of it. Within itself, it has that 20 pixels of padding. Padding and margin. Those are two things you should know the difference between. Does this help to illustrate this? Padding is the space around the element. I'm sorry, margin is this like space around it. Padding is, you know, some space within the element. And then you actually have the content. It's the content box model. That's what it's called. Cool. So, but now I see we all have, now I can see these, I can see all this border. It's really obnoxious, but it's kind of helping me illustrate where things are. And this is going to help me with the Flexbox. So first of all, what I might want is, no, I don't want this text to be centered. So let's go back to my fact.js. Just see what happens if I do justify content flex start. Does that move them over? No, doesn't that do that? So I kind of want them to go this way, flex start. Oh, I guess it is doing it. It's just the inner content. Let's see if I do it like that. Flex start. I don't think that's going to do it. I think it's because it's just my text is not, my text is getting centered for some reason. Oh yeah, text align. I think it's, so you might also want to just like get rid of all the default styling that React gave you. I think that this is doing it right here. That's CSS. I can leave. This is just font stuff. I like their fonts, so I'm going to leave that. Okay. So yeah, it was actually, when I did the create React app, they actually had for all the elements to align the text center, which is probably bad. You probably don't want that by default. Cool. But now everything is getting pushed to the left, which is how I want it. But these two things, this Google and one, I want side by side. So let's come into my fact.js. So let's give this a style. Just call this like styles. I don't know, info. Let's come in and do an info style. So once again, let's just throw in display flex here and see what that does. Cool. So that puts them side by side, which is nice. But I kind of want, you know, them, let's just have them like separated. Like I want them as far away as they can. Well, if I didn't know what that was, I could look here. And that's going to be the justify content space between. So then for this one, justify content space between. Go back here. Is that not doing that? Did I spell something wrong? Space between. Damn you. Why is that not doing that? Oh yeah, okay, that needs to be flex. Let's make these divs. That shouldn't matter, but.
Do you have to give it a flex direction?
It does have, it should have the flex by default. That should just be set to row. So if it's row, which I want it to be, I shouldn't have to say that, but let's try it out. Paragraph. Paragraph, go back to paragraph. What is going on there? Let me just try another one. Let me see if it's even. I'm going to try just the flex n just to see if that moves it to the right side. Display flex. Let me comment this out. Sometimes Flexbox can be a pain. This should not be. This one's not that difficult though. What am I doing wrong? I spelled justify wrong. It's like, there we go, spelled justified wrong. It's like, this should not be doing this. Yay, there we go. So spell things right, but now those are spread out, which is how I want them. I might want these things to be closer together because there's kind of a lot of space there. Maybe I don't want that much space there. So maybe I could do something like this, like wrap these in a div. Give this a style of like, I don't know, fact. And then I can start working with this fact. So let's have this be space. Let's have this be display flex as well. I want this to be a column. And then maybe I want this to be like, I don't know, flex start. So they kind of, this one we might need to, I don't think that's going to be quite right, but let's look at what's going on. Cool, so I got these two in their own little box, but I want to kind of push them up to the top because right now it looks like it's space around. So something that's a little weird with Flexbox, if I switch the direction, then I need to, like, I'm probably going to have to use this align items, or is it align content? I think I need to change this to align content now, since my flex direction is column. Let's see if that does it. Nope. Line items. So this is, did I spell something wrong again? Align. Let's just try some stuff here. We have justify content. It might be justify items. I haven't done some Flexbox in a while, so. Align items, flex. Let's try doing just flex start. Come on. Another thing you can try to do is, if that's taking a while, you can come into here, find this div, and you can change it here. I want that to be flex. Like if I change that column, you can kind of start doing it in here. Justify items. Flex start, is that it? Okay. No, we already tried that one. Justify. Did I not? Dude, what the heck?
Is it because they have too much margin or padding? It's spreading them out a little bit.
So the flex is going to like do that automatically. So it's like the flex that's kind of creating. So I'm just saying, I just want like this. I can come in and add padding to like these specific things if I want. I could definitely do like 20 pixels of padding. I just totally screwed something up. I need to refresh this because I got rid of something. But yeah, the flex should kind of take care of that, because what I'm trying to do is right now by default it's doing like a space around. So it's like it's automatically creating the padding and the margin. What the heck though? Because I wanted to do this. I wanted to like push up to the top. Right now it's doing this space around. But I want, you can kind of like look at this. I want it to like start at the top. And if there's extra space, just leave it blank. Let's see, I'll give this like, I can't believe it's not align content. Let's try align items. Just do all of them. So find this div, align items, X, and see this one's kind of like, that moves it to the end. So I want that one to be flex start, flex direction, column reverse, that reverses the order. So this is kind of fun because you can like come in and like, that's not doing anything. That's not doing anything. Oh, sweet. Let's see if this helps us. Justify content. Centers it. Oh my gosh, what the? No, I want to column. So I want the direction column. I don't want it to wrap. Dude, what the heck? Why won't it let me do that? Does it have margin? Let me try doing it. Let's see if I give this padding, and then I'm going to give up on this because I'll let you struggle with the CSS stuff. I guess that maybe that is what it's doing. I just say margin 0. Yeah. All right. Something that you might want to do to avoid stuff like this is you grab like a reset CSS. This reset CSS, because there can be some like default styling to like just HTML elements, and like Chrome does it differently than Firefox. So what you can do is you can grab like this reset CSS, and it just like kind of gets rid of these default stylings. And then you can like throw that in your app. It just kind of like removes any default styling. But that also got rid of my border, which I don't want it to do. So I'll just throw that below. So I can throw this important on here. There's like some real CSS rules if you just really want something to use this sparingly. Don't do this. Importance like something you don't want to use that much. I just want to see the border. So there we go. Now it's like removed all of this default stuff, which can sometimes be useful if you're trying to do really specific stuff like I'm doing. So I actually think it was working. And who said that in advance, like it's just the margin or padding? I think you were right. about that. So now I can come in here and like, for my fact, I can do some padding here. How many pixels? But maybe I don't want top it, like I don't want left and right padding, so I can do like 0 pixels and only do top and bottom. I did it the wrong way. So yeah, this is the type of stuff that you can kind of like mess around with styling. Actually, just want padding bottom. Anyway, I'm going to stop working on this because if you don't know, you can spend a lot of time with styling these little things. But we're getting close now with that reset. There's also like another one that's the reset kind of completely gets rid of all the styling. There's another one that's like minimalize CSS or something like that. Spelled that wrong. What is it? Minimalize. I forget what it's called. Reset CSS VS normalize. That's what it is. Normalize. I think normalize is not as harsh. So we can do the normalized CSS as well. So it might be a little more hard to find. I can't just come in here and take all of this. So you could like come in here, copy all of this, but we'll just leave it like this. Sorry. Has anyone spent some time styling stuff? I know Katrina has. I know how much she loves it. Anyway, I think this is kind of getting close to what we want. I'm going to leave the border for now. Once we take away the border, this will look a lot better, but we're getting close. We're kind of like, styling is so much about just like organizing these boxes. That is like the majority of style. It's not like picking colors or picking fonts. That's like the frosting on the cake. I mean, we did get rid of our fonts and this font is ugly, but let's just keep going. Another thing that we have here and that I kind of want to demo is the star system. So what if we actually want to utilize stars? Like I want actual stars here on my UI. How long do you think this is going to take to like build out that UI? As like we have stars, has, you know, we can hover over them, click them, that kind of thing.
Good chunk of time.
Yeah, that'd be pretty hard to do. Well, you know, it might not be hard. It might take some time. And it's something that's probably been done. I honestly don't know. I'm like 99.9% sure there's a library for this. So let's see like how quick we can do it, like React star component. It's already like Google knows me so well. Go here. So there's two libraries. So here's like the first part. We have to like kind of pick a library. But with like GitHub, you'll probably like, or when you Google it, you'll probably get like some leading candidates. You know, maybe here's an article on how to create your own custom one. So if you were curious about how to actually build it and get that experience, you know, you could get some help with this. But I want to find one that has like, they use an example. This one's using the class. I don't want to do that. This one's like, if I can see something done in Code Sandbox, this is going to be great. So Code Sandbox, let me slack this link out. Code Sandbox is like an environment where you can go and like test out some like React stuff. And you can build like little functioning chunks of code without having to set it up. And then it's online so you can see what other people have built. So this library here, they've created the star library, and then they also have like this demo of like how to use it. So that one doesn't seem to do anything, but this one, like, it looks like, hey, I can like hover over this and like I can click these and set them. So I can kind of just look through this, like first example, second example. See that they have like the React stars component, and they just destructure over their object. So maybe I just want this basic one, but it doesn't seem to be working. You can kind of look at, well, what's going on with the other ones that are doing like working. They have this on change prop, it looks like, so I can like throw that in here. And that's going to like reload this. Is that not doing it? Oh, this says edit false. I might want to turn that to true. So the sandbox is nice because I can come in here and like try to get this working. Like, because I want something that has like 5 stars. I can hover over them. You know, I have mine as floats. So I want to do this as a half rating. So how do I do that? Well, looking at this other one, it looks like it has like this is half. Let's set that to true. Now it looks like I can do half stars. The other thing I might want to do is like, well, how do I grab the value when someone clicks on this? But it looks like this on change function, it takes like this new value and then it's logging it to the console. Well, I can look at the console here. And when I'm clicking on one of these, it logs the value to the console. So it's like, we can now, I've tested this out like on Code Sandbox, kind of seeing how it works. I kind of have like this working example of how I think I want it to work in my own app. So now I just need to add it to my app. So this is React rating stars component. So if you're like, whatever you're importing it from, this is going to be like the name of the React library. So I can do a yarn add and then add this. So I add it to my project. So I'll throw this out in Slack. Yarn add. So let's go ahead and run that in our client. Yarn add. And then, yeah, I can kind of just take this example and then have this work in my own code. So I need to import React stars from React star rating. And then I had like this const first example that I was using. I can just go ahead and throw this in my function. And then I can take you know, this. And then instead of where I say paragraph, I'm going to throw that here. Now I'm not going to worry about hooking up my values yet, but let's just see if we can get this working in my app. So I got it working in the demo. Now the next step is to see, well, can I take that demo and get it working into my React app? Bam, there we go. But yeah, these all have 2.5 stars because that's what I hard coded them as. So, well, here's my stars prop. Let's just throw that right there. See if that got it. Ooh. So now it's grabbing the stars from the database. So now those are unique to that. And yeah, if I inspect my element in my console, it's logging the value. So that's good. But now I'm probably going to want to like, that kind of sounds like a state type thing. But let's, I mean, it's working. Actually, it seems like it's managing the state. So I might not need to even worry about that because it seems to be handling the state itself. But we're probably going to want to update this to the database, right? So let's do something like this, const. Instead of throwing this function here, let's do like handle star change or something. Or handle star click. Now I'm just taking this function here, and this is a anonymous function. I'm just taking this function and giving it a name. Just kind of cleaning up my code, I think. Because I might want to do like an Axios call here and might clean that up a little bit. So I didn't really change anything. I just moved it. So let's make just sure we have the same functionality going on. What's going on? Cannot access handle star click before initialization. I might need to define this before. Yeah, I had to define that function before I used it. But it's working the same now. Cool. So now I want to do an Axios call to database. So let's stop front end here. Because really this is, our front end's actually pretty close to being done with this. Like, so we need our back end to handle this. So let's come in and do a route. So let's go to our routes file. Let's do a get. All right, this should be a put actually. What am I going to need? What does this call going to need?
An ID, right?
Yeah, it needs an ID. And Yeah, we'll just look at the likes. It also needs the new value. Well, let's for now, let's go to facts. And then let's go to, I don't know, rate. And then we can go to our facts controller. We can define our rate function. Let's go at fact equals fact dot find params ID. Then we like need the new rating. Well, let's just assume we're going to get that from params. So let's say it's going to maybe look something like this at fact equals or fact dot, what did I call it? Stars equals params stars. Okay, and then we can do like a fact dot save and render JSON at fact. So I kind of expect that they give me an ID and then maybe like this stars value. And then we can render JSON. We'll just render back the facts, the fact. Sorry, that should be singular to match this variable. So now as my front end person, I now know I have a put request to API facts and then a fact ID. So let's go to back to my fact. So now I can do my Axios call. And this one's going to be async since we're using Axios. And I can do this. Let response equal await Axios.put. Let's go to API/facts and then the ID, which I'm getting right here from props. So that was expecting like this stars param. So when I send this data, I'll send it right here, stars. And then let's do new value. So that's what it was called in this function. And then let's just log the response. Okay, so let's try this out. Axios is not defined. Import Axios, it's not doing it. So I'll just manually import Axios from Axios. Duplicate key. I'm doing something wrong here, but let's go ahead and click that. Notice how I get my data back, stars 3. I could refresh. And it's actually down there. So by default, this data is getting returned by like the updated at time. So the world is flat, it has 1 star. I'm going to update that to 5. But if I like refresh or go back to my facts, well, that was the last thing that was updated. So now it's at the bottom of my list. But that is saving to my database. And it seems like with this, I don't know, there's something, there's a potential issue here. It's like working in my UI, but there's something that is a little off, and I think we can leave it for now, but I just want to bring it up. Because like I'm up, like armadillos are bulletproof. I'm going to vote that. Right now it's 0 stars. I'm going to do it 4 stars. And you know, it's updated in my database, it's updated in my UI, but it's not updated in my state. That could potentially lead to an issue. Because let's say I have a like an update on this and I go like update my form. Well, now that's not going to be updated. Does that make sense? So this would be like a very subtle bug because it looks like it's working now. But if I had update, like if I had an update function where I could go change like the text, if I change the stars, since it didn't change in my state it's 0, even though it looks like it's 4. But then someone comes and like updates like the text and like they save that to the database and then we need to re-render our things. Well, then this is going to go back to 0. So I should actually handle this. So what I should do is in my facts, I should have like a update fact method that takes a fact. Let updated facts equal my facts.map. Go through each fact. Does the fact that I'm going through, does the ID equal match the fact that was passed to this function? If it does, then use that updated value. If not, keep it the same. I really think as you like write out these map functions, if you can like say that out, like when you're typing these out as I'm doing it, I think that will help you understand the syntax. So that map's going to return that new array with just that one fact updated. And then I can set my facts to that. So now I have this update fact method that I need to pass to this one. Because this fact needs to actually call that. Res.data. This might be a little different than how we did it yesterday, because I'm doing the Axios call in my fact component. Last time we did it in the app, so it's not like. So we do it, and then once we're done, once it's successful, then we call that. Oh, I actually need to pull this from props because that's not going to be defined. So then we can pass this one down through props, pass it the response, and then update it. Let's see if that works. I'm pretty sure I just defined that. Update fact is not defined. Should be facts, update fact. Oh, I need to use a const. There we go. Okay, so now we can so we have some fungi fact. Let's just change that to 5 stars. So it's 4 before. So it's updated in our UI, but let's make sure it's updated in our state. Stars 5. So now it's updated in our state too. What else? Any questions on any of this so far? Let's go. Let's just see what this. Let's remove the border. It's kind of can be a little obnoxious. Actually, let's see if I can get that text back. So I'm going to remove this border. So we've really have done the hard part with the Flexbox and aligning this, because I've kind of got this set up how I want it to, with the text at the top, then the user, then the link and the stars. So then it's changing the font size of this, adding some padding, maybe changing the color, could really make that look a lot nicer. So for instance, I could come in here and do style equals styles.header. Just come in here and make this a little bigger. Font size, 36 pixels. And then maybe for the username, style equals styles.user. Just come in here, maybe that's a lot smaller. Or I don't know, 16. We change the color of it. Like a gray. Let's go devil gray. And then yeah, this link is a little big, so we could fix that up. I mean, maybe we could actually throw this into a link if that was if it was an actually valid link. Source. And just hard code source there. Also, yeah. So yeah, with styling, the hard part is getting all the stuff aligned right. And that's where you're going to make it look nice. And then one other thing we maybe wanted to do was the grid, if we wanted to do a 3x3 grid. Well, where am I rendering these facts? It's right here. So then I need to throw this in a div. And I'll do the style here. Let's just try to do it in line. Sorry, this thing is like just getting in the way. Display flex. So yeah. And then this would be a whole nother challenge of like, well, how do I get this to be a 3x3? Because now they're all like that. You know, I could come into my card. I don't know, maybe there's a lot of different ways, but like a simple way would be like give them a fixed width, 300 pixels. Stuff like that. Do I still have a syntax there though? Oh, I forgot a comma. Wait, it's there. No, that's not doing a container. Min width. Yeah, but this like, now it's like, this is getting all weird. So yeah, it's lining this stuff up that is hard. We're going to talk about eventually like libraries. So just like we did with this star library, we're going to talk about libraries that make this easier for us. One of them we might talk about is like semantic UI React. And these are going to give us these like pre-built out components that are going to be like, you know, maybe I could have done this similar thing with this library where they're kind of, it's kind of like with the stars, they're like, here, you can use this component and we'll create you a nice card like this. And then here's the JSX for that. So it can be, these are ways where it can be like really easy to like create your UI and have it look nice without having to do any styling or very little. Because yeah, this can get into like some like trying to do this on your own, like when you're working with like content that is, you know, you might have a URL that's like really long and then you might have one that's short. Like, how do you make this look nice? What if you have like this text that's huge and like very long and other ones that's just like 2 words? So it's all these different varieties where styling can be, you know, hard. I'm a fan of styling. That's kind of like what I did with my first job primarily. I did a lot of CSS with that job. It's weird, like my CSS skills have like gone down since then, but I will say this about CS, like I don't think there's any like, you could give me anything to like a UI, like here, rebuild Facebook, like and make it look the same. Like I could do that. I could not do it if I didn't have Google. It's kind of like that. Definitely CSS is, I'd be Googling this like right now, like how to best like have these cards stay the same width. There's another good resource. So we saw Code Sandbox. There's also Code Pen. This one's nice. You can go like, I have a whole bunch of pens on here. A lot of them are like forked, but you can like come in here and you can like see someone's code. It's kind of like Code Sandbox, but it's really more just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So then you can come in here and like see what other people have done. see the CSS, see how they did it. So like, you know, we want to do like a grid. Could do like a, I don't know, grid. I guess there was actually one right here. And then, yeah, you can kind of see like, well, you can kind of test it out. Like how responsive is it? Oh, that looks pretty responsive. Like when I change the screen size. So this can be, you know, a useful tool, and you can kind of see how they do stuff. So here's all the code. It's just all right there. And you can go in and you can change stuff. Or you can like fork it, I think is what they call it. So once you like start typing on it, it'll actually like automatically create a fork in your own little copy of it. So it's kind of like cloning it in GitHub. Cool. Well, I think that is it for this lecture. I'm going to actually just switch that back to the way it was. That was looking all right before I did that style. But yeah, so we did this, that star feature was pretty quick. Got that working with our database. So now that we have these totally decoupled, it's like my database doesn't care how I get back this, like, is it a star UI? All it really cares about is you do a put request to API/facts, give me the ID, give me that star param, and then I can update the database. But you can create your UI however you want. Let me throw this up on GitHub. So no questions?
I guess I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Are you going to post the homework? The homework's going to be similar to what you did today, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And even though I didn't go through like all the CRUD actions,
Right.
it's you should be able to do them, right? Because this was more how we set it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not going to be, from here on out, it's not going to be like any different.
Yeah.
Yeah, what other questions?
Can you put the information that you put into the terminal, the iTerm for the star rating, into Slack?
Sorry, what I put in the terminal for the star rating?
Yeah, because you put some information into the terminal to make the star rating stuff click.
Oh, to import the library. This one?
Oh yeah, was that the only one? I thought there was a couple. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, that was the only, because that's how I added the package to my client. So that was the only one I did in the terminal. And then that should make, then I'm able to import that from here. And then, yeah, the first example, the on-click, that's all in the code. So is there something else you're thinking about?
No, I just was trying to see what that was to put it in because I didn't have time to put it in.
Cool. Let's just go through the homework right now, since I'm going to need to update this anyway. But yeah, since you have a 3-day weekend, don't spend, I mean, take some time off, but you're definitely, utilize the extra day to get caught up. And this is like a really good point to have a 3-day break, because like your hackathon is essentially going to be what we did today, but maybe with like a has many. So we're really not going to be talking about too much new for the week 4. It's all, maybe we'll throw in the has many, throw in some more styling. So this is like really a good time to, review. So this is kind of what the homework is. Where is it? It's just like, this is an opportunity for you to like review these concepts. I'm going to say for this one, since we did switch it up, I do want you to actually, let's have you start a new project. Start a new project, with Rails and React separated. And that's like the Rails API. You're going to use that API flag. API flag, and then like the Yarn React app. I'll make this a little more clear, but does that, you know what I mean by that? And then do CRUD on a model. Add a React router. Just a basic, just kind of go through that, add a React router. You don't have to do much with it, but just like we did today, we don't need it. I don't really need this home page here. It's just, that will just give you an idea of what you can do. You could use a React router. You can maybe investigate that a little more. You could have like, I could click on this link, or I could have like a new link that took me to like a new form. That's going to require you kind of learning on your own. So don't feel like you have to do that unless you want to do it. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about next week. I'll make this cleaner, but are there any like questions on this? So like bonus would be like has many relationship. Doing CRUD on that. And maybe like utilizing React router. And then you'll need to teach yourself this. But we will go over class, so don't feel like this is a bonus. You don't have to do that.
So the project can be on any kind of like subject, as long as it has like the CRUD models and it's a React and Rails project, right?
Yeah, CRUD on a model, you choose the model. Yeah, for a bonus, you could do, a has many relationship, try doing that. Yeah.
I feel like I'm remembering that you can't, or it's hard to add the has many after you've already established your page. Is that true? Am I remembering correctly?
No, that shouldn't be hard. You mean, it's definitely not hard. It doesn't matter for the database. You might want to like reseed your database, but you could just, I mean, let's say I have like a users, or I have like a posts model. I could create a lot of posts, and then I decide to have comments. So a post has many comments. Well, just like those posts, they're just by default, they're gonna have an empty array of comments, but they would still have many comments. They just don't have any. So you could easily, yeah, that should be pretty, that shouldn't be like there's not really anything special you need to do.
I think it had to do with the belongs to. So just when you add those comments as a controller, right? That you would say belongs to whatever the first model was.
I
Yeah.
think it's like when you're generating the second model, if you don't say it belongs to while you're generating it, that doesn't like upload everything correctly into like your schema and stuff. Because I've had that problem and had to like delete the model and redo it. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because you'd have your post model, and then yeah, like 3 months later, you could be like, oh, Rails G model comments, comment or like text, and then belongs to post, and then add like the has many in your post. Your post has many comments. Your comments belongs to a post, and then yeah, it worked. So yeah, what Michaela said, if you forgot like that belongs to, then it in your migration, then yeah, that definitely screw things up. You can't, one thing you can't do, you can't say like, you can't declare your comment model first and then your post. Like in your migration file order, you have to do your post first and then your comments. Is there anything you want me to add on the homework? Really, I really want, like, it's more about, this is, like I said, this is really more about use this weekend to review. Because we've done like 3 pretty intense weeks. So I don't really care about like how far you get with this. Just use this to like this is more about understanding than completion. If you just get like create working, but you have like a good understanding, or you just like get your items, but you understand the flow, that's going to be useful. Because like once you can get one of the CRUD actions down, even if you just start understanding like get really well, then the rest of them are just kind of like variations. So, and if you want, you can style, you can try adding a different library, experiment if that sounds fun to you as well. Like I did with the stars, go pick a charting libraries can be a little hard, but you could do something like that. Add a chart. Maybe look at semantic. We'll talk about that. You don't have to, but cool. That's it for me. So any questions on that?
Thank you for going over the homework before break.
Yeah, no problem. Cool. Well, let's meet back at 2 then at the TA channel. Y'all have a nice lunch.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Adios.